Welcome to Risky Business. So what exactly is a JRPG? People love to argue on social media, and the RPG community is absolutely no exception. I see this one crop up a lot. It's a really fascinating argument. I see it coming up time and time again. What is and what isn't a JRPG? It almost seems like sort of a foolish thing to address just because I think people are going to have their own idea about this. I don't think it's a solid, concrete idea, but I think we should kind of try to have some universal agreement about what that term actually means. It probably seems a little bit pedantic almost, but it comes up so frequently, I just feel like it's almost silly to not engage with it. Plus, these controversial topics seem to make good content, so let's do it. Most people seem to fall into one of two camps with this. Some consider the term JRPG to be applicable to any role-playing game that was developed in Japan or released by a Japanese publisher. Others consider the term to be referring to specific gameplay, style, and narrative elements that are unique to a subgenre. So who's right? Is anyone right? Does it even matter? Classifications like this help us to distinguish the games we play from one another, have some understanding of whether or not we'll like a game, even determine whether or not we want to spend our money on something. It helps to categorize the online content, and it kind of sets up an expectation for future releases from a particular publisher or within a franchise. So let's take a look at this troublesome acronym and try to settle this matter and come to an agreement on what it means. When we talk about the acronym JRPG, in the most direct way possible, we get, quite simply, Japanese role-playing game. And why do we make that distinction? After all, we don't call The Witcher a PRPG because it was developed in Poland. ARPG means action RPG, not American RPG or Armenian RPG. So why is it that J is so important to the phrase JRPG? I'm sure you've seen the acronym WRPG or Western RPG before, but it doesn't seem to have the same presence within our cultural zeitgeist as JRPG, and it seems to exist only as a response to the JRPG classification. Since Japan is the only country that has its own unique RPG designation, it stands to reason that this acronym stands for more than simply the country of origin, whether it's voluntary or not. I think when most of us hear the term JRPG, certain games spring to mind. Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, the Tales of series, Dragon Quest, Star Ocean, all games that have so much more in common than just their country of origin. Anime-inspired graphics, an emphasis on storytelling within a linear plot, player characters who are all integral to that plot, a young hero on a quest to rid the world of some nefarious evil, and an overall lighthearted aesthetic aimed at a younger audience. These games usually have battle systems that are either turn-based or revolve around some kind of gimmick, like building up a meter or chaining certain types of attacks together. When you hear me say JRPG, you probably don't think of Dark Souls or Bloodborne, even though From Software is a Japanese company. You may even have thought of Magna Carta or South Park, The Stick of Truth, both of which have decidedly JRPG game mechanics and aesthetics, but were developed in the West. So while many gamers will probably continue to insist that JRPG simply refers to any RPG from Japan, I think that's an oversimplification, and it ignores the characteristics that make that distinction necessary. If the term JRPG existed solely to tell us that a game is from Japan, I would expect all RPGs to carry a similar designation. North American, European, Chinese, etc., and so on and so forth. But they don't. That's because JRPG is not just an acronym identifying where a game was made. It's a complete subgenre with consistent features that carries an expectation that is communicated to the player by use of that subgenre title. When something's classified as a JRPG, they're not just telling you it's from Japan, they're telling you what kind of a game to expect. I hope I've made a good case here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and enable notifications, and check out that video that's floating around on your screen right now. Next time, we're going to be talking about a similar controversial topic. We're going to be talking about the Legend of Zelda series. Is The Legend of Zelda an RPG? It's another argument that I see a lot, and I have some thoughts about that as well that I want to share with you. So please turn on notifications so you don't miss it, and until next time, game over.